Ken had just turned right out of a parking lot. He'd started to accelerate when a Fiat suddenly turned into him. Ken thinks the driver wanted to turn right at the intersection, and she must have thought that turning from the far left lane was a good idea. The folks in the car behind them stopped, and they said it looked as if she'd lost control of her car. Eventually, the police were called to the scene of the accident. The Fiat driver admitted fault to the police and said that Ken had been in her blind spot. The Fiat was towed away and was later deemed a total loss. Ken was able to drive his Tesla home and get a repair estimate from the Tesla Repair Center. The repair bill came to, are you sitting down? $25,000 US. David was driving his Model 3 south on I-15 from California to Nevada when he approached a car on the side of the road that had been rear-ended. When he got closer, he noticed the offending driver had ended up in the northbound lanes and was just about to be airlifted out. David finds it strange that, with all this activity, his side of the highway was still open. Usually, they shut down both sides of the highway while a helicopter takes off or lands. Kara was driving in Randolph, Massachusetts when the driver in front of her drifted out of the left lane and onto the shoulder before driving head-on into a guardrail. Along with a few other pedestrians, Kara stopped to help and contact first responders. She even pulled the driver out of the car, which by then had begun smoking. She sent the police her footage of the accident after they requested it. The driver was taken away in an ambulance, but they ended up being okay. Josh was on an expressway in Canada when an accident caused traffic to come to a full stop. He was close to an exit, so he waited for an opening before merging over. An Escalade driver decided to follow Josh's lead, but he wasn't as careful as Josh had been, and his merge upset a Nissan driver. This set off some road rage with neither party backing down. Instead of one yielding to the other, they both shared the lane. The Escalade got so close to the Nissan that the Nissan's mirror hit the Escalade's door. That's when the driver rolled down his window and threw a bottle at the Nissan. What's your opinion of this situation? Who do you think was in the wrong? Let us know in a comment. Elliot was driving his Model 3 in Utah when he noticed a tire come off a trailer behind him on the highway. The tire rolled across all lanes before jumping the median into oncoming lanes. Elliot has no idea what happened on the other side or if the tire ended up hitting anyone. If it did, he hopes they find this video and maybe it can help them out with their insurance claim. Alma was driving in downtown Austin, Texas. She was turning left onto 6th Street when a police officer on a bicycle stopped her. She stopped as ordered, and a massive number of bike cops rode by. We counted 15 of them. Alma appreciates that these officers are using transportation that doesn't fill the air with toxic chemicals. She also pointed out that on the opposite street corner, it looks like there's a guy with an albino python. Sheldon was going up the Great Western Highway to Katoomba in the Blue Mountains just west of Sydney when a very smoky truck pulled out in front of him. Sheldon isn't sure if they were rolling coal or just having engine problems. What do you think? Would you consider this a rolling coal attack or not? Speaking of rolling coal, this submitter who calls his car Tesla was driving in Colorado when a truck flew past him at around 90 miles per hour while rolling coal. He says it didn't seem like the driver was targeting him specifically, but this was the first time his Tesla was farted on by a truck. Maybe next time he'll remember to activate bioweapon defense mode. After returning from a long road trip to visit family, Spencer's father was pulling Spencer's girlfriend's Model 3 into their driveway when he ran into his own Model S. The Model S absorbed most of the damage. The paint was scratched and the light mount was broken, while the Model 3 looks like it only received surface-level scratches. Despite all the sensors on both vehicles, the parking sensors didn't warn Spencer's dad about the Model S. And the Model S's alarm didn't go off either, even after it got hit. Spencer wants to give a shout out to his girlfriend Diana, the owner of the Model 3. Her reaction to the collision was, "Phew, I'm glad I wasn't the one to hit the car." Chris was driving down a narrow road when a passenger in a parked car opened a door into a car going the opposite direction. Chris stopped to make sure the passenger was okay, which they were. Chris shared his contact information and was later informed that the passenger had a sore leg from the incident but was otherwise fine. Jamal was driving his Model 3 in the United Arab Emirates when a driver who'd missed his exit almost clipped a KFC delivery driver before jumping onto the median. Jamal said it was just a typical tourist missing their exit. Justin was traveling southbound through dense fog when he suddenly noticed 4 sets of headlights coming toward him. With nowhere to go, Justin quickly headed for the shoulder, hoping the offending driver wouldn't do the same. The 2 vehicles passed each other with inches to spare. Surprisingly, the video was clear enough to capture the other driver's license plate, but the police told Justin that they couldn't charge the driver with anything because they couldn't be identified. Jay always takes care to park his Tesla away from other cars. In this case, however, that strategy worked against him. He was shopping in Scotts Valley, California, and had parked about 60 feet downhill from the nearest car. When he came out of the store, he noticed a woman hanging around his car. He thought that maybe she was curious about EVs or his custom silver wrap. No such luck. She asked if it was his car before pointing to the damage she admitted had been caused by her runaway grocery cart. Jay thanked her for being so forthcoming and honest before getting her insurance information. He recalls her mentioning that she might just pay for the damage out of pocket. How much could fixing such a small dent cost anyway? Between repairing the panel, rewrapping it, and renting a car in the meantime, this small dent took over $5,000 and 7 weeks to fix. Adam was driving his Model 3 in Columbus, Ohio. Just as he entered an intersection, a car ran their red light and hit an SUV which had the right-of-way. Adam pulled over to see if he could help, and it turned out the driver of the car that had run the light was fleeing the scene of a homicide. The police were hot on his trail, and the driver was quickly arrested. Zach was driving his Model 3 through pouring rain in Pine Brook, New Jersey. A blue Nissan Note merged into a gray Honda Civic, hitting them in their left fender and leaving a big dent. Pro tip: leave your headlights on auto so they'll come on during periods of low visibility. Always check your blind spot after signaling and before starting your merge. Joe was driving his Model 3 in Maryland when he noticed small, mysterious clouds in the sky. What is going on here? Can anyone explain what this is? While you're typing your comment, Joe wants a shout out for his daughter Kira. Hey there! Ingmu was driving his Model 3 in New Taipei City, Taiwan, when a truck dropped some cargo in front of him. Ingmu also has a camera inside the car, so let's see what it looked like from the inside. As soon as Casey slowed down, he heard tires screeching, and a moment later he felt a large bump from behind. It turned out the driver of a silver Toyota hadn't seen the slowing traffic and rear-ended Casey's Model 3 despite slamming on the brakes. Casey pulled over to the shoulder to assess the damage and talk with the other driver, but they decided to take the exit instead, turning an ordinary traffic collision into a hit and run. After the dust settled, Casey was glad to see that, as far as he can tell, the only damage is cosmetic damage to his rear bumper cover and nobody was hurt. He filed an insurance claim and a report with the California Highway Patrol over the hit and run incident. Luckily, he was able to clearly capture the other driver's license plate with his Teslacam. Just as Brian was exiting the South Coast Plaza in Costa Mesa, California, a Prius crashed into another car at a stop sign. The driver jumped out and ran off. Then the police showed up and also jumped out of their cars before chasing after the driver on foot. 3 other occupants jumped out of the Prius and took off in different directions. Brian thinks they all look like kids around 11 to 14 years old. Multiple officers jumped out of the police cars, tracked all the kids down, and tackled them to the ground to arrest them. There were even helicopters overhead, so Brian thinks the car chase must have been related to a crime they'd committed. Brian searched the news, but he couldn't find any mention of the incident. Billy sent us this video from when he activated boat mode in his Model S Plaid. This video was sent to us in early September, about a month prior to Hurricane Ian. The Tesla cleared the flooded street without any problems. Billy only had to clear some water from the frunk and the lower portion of the trunk. We've gotten a ton of submissions from Teslas being used as boats in the aftermath of Hurricane Ian, but we're not sure what to do with them. Should we release a special episode? Our thoughts and prayers go out to those who've been affected by the hurricane. Stay safe out there.